Hello, this is Daniel, your host. Welcome to the Myriasphere. I am so glad you're all here. Today, I have finally finished it. Holy crap. This show, it's almost sad to say I finished this. It's 40 episodes long, at 45 minutes apiece. The show is called King's Avatar, King's Avatar on Netflix, actually. It is a Japanese-style drama show. So yeah, it's in Japanese. I'm pretty sure, or Korean or something. I can never tell the difference. But it is very good. If you don't mind watching a show with subtext, subtitles, like a lot of Asian animes, this story follows the main character. I'm going to butcher this, so forgive me. Ixu, or Uixu, something like that. They call him Master Yu. Sometimes just Master. He plays the character of Lord Grimm in the game Glory. If anybody doesn't know about this show, it pretty much is a show based on following an esport game team. The main character pretty much is told that he is being let go from the team that he's been he's pretty much a master of, and he helped build, because they need funding. They need people to sponsor them. They need investors. Unfortunately, yes, he is one of the greatest players in the league, but he always wears a mask. Always and he doesn't allow anyone to market him. He doesn't allow anybody to use his face or anything. So the team, they kind of, in a dirty way, cast him out. That happens in the first episode. He kind of didn't really want to stay anymore. He kind of wanted to start over, and so they pretty much forced him to retire. But he decides that he's walking by. He's kind of down, let's say. He goes across the street and there's an internet cafe. If anybody of you know what an internet cafe is, it's a place where, especially in Asia and some bigger cities, is a place where it's like a computer library. You go in, you pay for so much time, you sit at a computer, you play whatever games they have installed. You have your own. They have this little ID card that has your account on it. You just put your card in this little machine, and it lets you log in this game called Glory. It's a kind of a PvP fantasy style RPG, but it's very PvP based. If you kill a player in the real world, you can steal his stuff. You could tell it's a very complicated, very high competition game. It looks like so fun, though. As you watch this, you're like, damn, I want to play this game. So he was like, they called him the War God or something like that before. He's very famous, but no one really knows him because they always wear a mask. So he goes in this internet cafe, and the boss is playing Glory, and she walks away, and he gets on her game, and he beats, because she keeps losing constantly. So he gets on and beats some dude in like 30 seconds, something like that. The lady's like, what the hell? And then he finds out they're actually looking for for someone to hire. And so he asks to apply. She asks him if he's good at, computer management or anything like that. He's like, no. She's like, do you know how to domain names? No. She's like, well, what are you good at? And he's like, I could play Glory. So she hires him, and it's funny is she's a huge fan of his old character, which was One Autumn Leaf. That's the name of his character before they took it from him. They pretty much took his account because it's owned by the guild that he was with, and given to a younger person who's upcoming, famous guy that everybody wants, because they want to they want to invest into him, they want to promote him. And he's kind of arrogant, asshole. The main character's not. The main character is kind of like an Obi-Wan style character. He loves the game. You could tell he really loves this game. He helped actually build it. Throughout the show, you get flashbacks of him and his best friend, who I'm guessing dies at some point. They never really tell how he died. But his best friend and her sister, and then this other guy who was in the internet cafe who became their manager, and they all worked together. They were young. And they built this whole thing. They helped build the rules. They helped build the competitions. They turned Glory into a world-renowned esport game, pretty much, with their help. The show has a lot of emotion. It has, sacrifice. Like the main character, it shows a past where his father and him don't get along. His father thinks video games are worthless. Just something like Joe Rogan said just recently, how it's a waste of time. See, these guys just don't understand gaming. Gaming for me is a stress reliever. It is anger management. When I would be stressed, when I'd be at my limit, nothing is better than getting on a game, Call of Duty, or any other game, and just letting all that frustration out. Just let it go. Because it's a safe place to do that. It is. If you ever thought about it, going into an actual game where you're just killing shit and you're letting all your inner anger out, very good way to do that. That to me is that, in this show, it really dives into that. What is this game to each player? And there's lots of players that join him, and he kind of is their like mentor. He's an old veteran player, and people are telling him he's too old. He needs to retire because esports is a young kids game. Most of the people that are retiring are in their 20s. They just can't do it anymore. And one of the players is in his 30s, and his wrist starts messing up, and you see where he can't keep doing the mouse because his wrist will hurt, and then he'll drop the mouse and he'll lose, or he'll cause people to die. And he has to sit and really think about how he's going to overcome this. But there's other, all these different personalities. You got the rambunctious, non-stop talker. You got the quiet, dude becoming best friends. And you got people who are strategists who think about how the strategy. This show is so damn good. Wow. Yeah, it's kind of annoying that to read the subtitles to follow along, but it's worth it. And this is also as an anime. This is the live action one. I think the live action so far is better than the anime. They did a really good job. This show is really well done, really well. You join. You watch a guy who was the top of his game, had the top stuff, who started from scratch, and there's a weapon in it that was crafted by his friend before he died. He wants to show off not just the weapon, but what it's capable of, and so it's like his friend is still with him, and you follow him starting all over as this new character called Lord Grimm. And he uses this as a umbrella, and in the beginning he's trying to build it, because you have to, in this game, by leveling up, you have to add certain drops and stuff from different monsters and to level up your weapon. Most of the game, though, you just want to get that silver item, and you have classes like wizard. I think there's a witches, brawlers, gunners. There's all different kinds of classes, but he's a non-specific class because his weapon is able to go into all the abilities of every class until level 20. There's 75 levels, I believe, in the game. But this one can only use the abilities of every class up to level 20. Which isn't the greatest thing because all those abilities are kind of weaker. But because he can use every different one a lot faster than everybody, and if you really master every class like he had, you can use his weapon to do great things. And so, the beginning is his journey how to build a weapon. He kind of screws people over. He's trying to, he'll do whatever it takes to build his weapon. And then he starts to become friends with more and more people. He meets other players that he sees, potential in, and he helps bring them into the game. He helps them build their characters. You see one of the females, she doesn't like failure, and she despises losing. She's a pianist, and she pretty much walked away from being a pianist because she made one mistake. And so she gets in the game. She trains for like a couple days, and then she goes out, tries to fight him, and he beats her, and she gets all mad, and she keeps doing it and doing it. She says one day she's going to beat him. That's her goal. But then you see her grow. You see how she starts to accept failure, because she does. She gets arrogant. At one point where she keeps winning and winning and winning and winning, and then she goes on live TV and says that she could beat 3 players by herself. 3 veteran players by herself in the World League, and then she loses. And she almost leaves the game completely because she couldn't understand her own failure. And but these characters build. You really see the emotion. You see how the main character and his father don't get along. He literally was banished from his home because he wanted to become an esport player. His father told him it was worthless. It was a waste of time, and he's wasting his life. And if you didn't stop, he could never return home. And the kid, and in the show, he's got to be like maybe 14, 15, and he just leaves. He just gets up and says, "I'm sorry, Father," grabs his stuff and walks out. That's why he wears the mask in the show. It's because he's trying to not embarrass his father. I'm telling you, this is a really good show. This is worth every single minute. 40 episodes, 45 minutes long, was fantastic. I binged some of it, but it's 40 episodes. That's a lot of episodes, and an hour each. That's 40 hours. And it's worth it. Oh, crap, this show is so good. Some of these guys know how to do it. And the action, watching them play games, it really is cool watching some of the stuff they do and how they work together and how they fail together. You'll notice in the show that if one team member thinks does something he's not supposed to, like he gets arrogant and thinks he can rush ahead, or he gets in the way of his teammates, how he caused the entire team to lose the competition, and how he's got to live with that. And he's got to accept his mistakes. And the boss lady who becomes the boss of the team later, she's never been a boss before, so she's got to learn how to do that. And you get to see this other thing that's really impacted. I know my brother loves this show. He's the reason I started watching it. But his dream, I mentioned this in other videos recently, is that my brother's dream is that one day to open up an internet cafe in Kansas City. He wants it to become something huge, something for his community. He wants it to be a place where, because we both grew up in the Salvation Army. I don't know if you know anything about the Salvation Army, but it is a church, not just a homeless shelter or a store. My parents were both Salvation Army officers, preachers, pretty much. They ran the churches, ran the stores, stuff like that. And so a lot of my life has been on the front lines of seeing poverty, absolute poverty. I've seen the homeless people. I've seen good homeless people. I've seen people who, are rich, who dress in rags just to eat a free meal and go back in their Camaro and drive off. I've seen that. It's sad. Literally sad. I've seen a dude really walk in with a dirty jacket, sit down, eat, thanked everybody, walked a couple blocks, and I was going with friends to a local store that was a couple blocks away, and I noticed the same guy take his coat off, take a dirty coat off, put a nice coat, business coat on, put his tie up, jump into his fucking Camaro, and drive off. Don't worry, I made sure my father knew about him, and we looked out for him the next time and told him to get out. Because every meal you steal from a homeless person is fucked up. They didn't have all the resources in the world. So, I've seen that. I've seen people who are so just lost everything. I've been to the inner cities of Chicago. I've been to we moved all over the place. I've seen big cities, small towns. So me and my brother know what it looks like. And we know what helps. And what helps is places like this. What he wants to do later on, when he is stable and it's really growing, is to start an e-sport team funded inside that internet cafe. He wants to make it big, where it's got whole floors of apartments, and there's a school nearby, and he's hoping to help provide apartments for students who are going to school, especially tech students who really need access to computers and need access to this. They would have, they'd pay a certain, but they would have home boarding and internet access without having to worry about their own place. That's his goal. Plus, he wants the eSport team to help fund it and help support it. That's his goal, and that's one of the things I'm doing, because it's why he's partnered with me. Is I hope this book blows up. I hope people love it. It doesn't, nothing I can do about it. But as the novel is done, and I keep making more novels, and then I hire Comics Gate guys to help me do comics, all of this is building up the Myriasphere. My goal, and my brother's goal, is to use the Myriasphere as its own new franchise. Not just a franchise, but its own company almost. So that one day it'll be called the Myriasphere Cafe, and it will be a massive internet cafe in Kansas City. That's our end goal. Well, not end goal. And we want to have a place where we can have, cons there too. We want it big enough that we can have a big auditorium to hold cons. Because I don't know if you know this, but most cons are either in California, New York, or Florida. Maybe Chicago. But for the rest of us in the middle of the country, who can't afford to take planes constantly all the way to one side of the country or the other, I've never been to a con because I just never could. I never had the money to go. I never had the time to go, and it was always so far away. And so I thought it'd be great if we could set up our own fan cons in the middle of the country, where we could bring people in from Missouri, bring people in from Iowa, everywhere. Just our own thing. And where fans control it. Not just these big corporations who are going to allow identity politics and all this stuff to destroy things. But we will. The final goal is a fan movement. Kind of like Comicsgate a little bit, but our own thing. That's my goal, is to build a Myriasphere as a place fans can go, not just to create. I would love one day it becomes so big that we can become our own publisher, and we help publish books, comics, shows. Who knows how big this will grow? But it's all up to you, all the fandom, not just the ones subscribed to me, but all fans of all genres. I don't care what you like, what you don't like. I have my opinions. As long as you don't try to cancel other people because of their opinions. I hate cancel culture. I hate those who participate in it. The ones who really push it, like Tom King and the people at Marvel and DC who allow politics to become more important than people's lives. And if you have wrongthink, you should die. I cannot stand that. And I'm hoping this will be a place where that shit does not ever get into it, because I swear to God, if I'm in charge and I find out one of my coworkers is online trying to destroy someone else's life, I will throw them out on their ass physically. Your head will spin as fast as I'll throw you out of my company. That shit, I will accept anyone. I don't care what skin, religion, or what sexual whatever. I don't care. As long as you keep that shit at home in your own bedroom, I don't care who you have sex with. I just don't want to know about it. It's that simple. So I don't want tales of your conquests. Trust me, I've had enough of that in the Marine Corps. Dudes telling me their conquests, and it's like, dude, I don't tell you guys about mine. Can we just leave that part? To me, that's personal. What me and my wife do in the confines of our home is not up to others. But anyways, No matter your political beliefs. I hate this whole, if you're liberal, if you're conservative, we should hate each other. No, we can debate. We can debate. We can talk. And try to convince the other person what is right and wrong. To us. There's no my truth. There's one truth. And sometimes truth will smack you in the face and it will hurt your feelings and it will suck. And life is hard and then you're going to die. But that is life. And I want the Myriasphere to become something important. So this show is really, really good because it really shows me what I aspire to. It shows my brother's dreams to him pretty much face, right there in his face. It shows him what his dream can be. And that's his goal. You know, I'm not a business owner. I'm not a, guy like that. I don't plan on, running it, the cafe or anything. I'm going to let my brother do that. But everything's going to fall under this logo, the Myriasphere. We called it the Myriasphere because the Myriasphere is a multiverse. It literally is what it means. It is multiple universes. Myriasphere. And we want this franchise, this thing to grow into something far beyond me, my brother, and hopefully the future of so many other creators who can later on go to the Myriasphere and be like, hey, I got this and I want help. And I go, okay, let me see it. Let me read it. Let me think if you're good. I'm not even that great. I probably have authors out there laughing at me in my book, probably thinking, well, this guy has no education in writing. And you're right, I don't. I'm a storyteller. That's my goal. And it would be, oh my gosh, if this does become something like that, and one day I stand before all of you at an auditorium, I'm going to break down. But, I'd be nothing without any of you. And that's true. And if I ever get a big head, come up to me and hit me. I know the fight with pride. I do. I've become very prideful in my life. Marines, in our very creed, is the word pride. In the few, the proud, the Marine, But there's also another creed we have. It's called Semper Fi. It means always faithful. And I believe in honor. I believe in honoring my family. I believe in honoring my name. So my goal will be this. Is it going to be a rough road? Yes. Is it going to happen tomorrow? Hell no. 10 years? I don't know. 20 years? I don't know. I don't know. I may be gone. It might be my descendants, my children, who take up the name of Myriasphere and continue it and finally succeed. It might be their kids or their grandkids. I don't know. All I can do is start it. And all I can do is ask that you follow me and support. And as we build, bring in your stuff. My brother would love to be big enough publishing that Comicsgate can come to us and we publish their books, sell our books in our stores. And I do plan, in that old cafe, I do plan to have a bookstore. Like a little, kind of a fan store where you sell like merchandise and stuff, but also a bookstore where they sell my books, but they also sell other creators' stuff. Let's say some small indie creators, pretty much. I don't want big, Harry Potter books and those stuff. No, I want small-time creators who aren't, as famous or as popular as some of the big. I want Comicsgate to be able to sell their comics there. I would love that. I would love that it become that cool and that popular, where we have, a whole floor of just, apartments for students. Many floors. Who knows how big this could be? If it grows and grows and grows, this could be a huge place with multiple floors of apartments. Not just the esports people living there, but students learning their craft, learning how to. Because I believe in technology. I believe in tech schools, not so much regular schools, because I believe that a lot of the stuff they're teaching is not really helping anyone. But I believe in tech schools. I believe that's going to be the future soon, where people realize that getting their masters in, they're in gender study isn't doing shit. Maybe I would be a coder or a graphic designer or arts, and who knows how big this could be. Maybe they'll start their own school. I don't know. It's all up to you, and it's up to me and my brother of pushing for a dream that we don't plan on ever stopping. And it's crazy. So long in my life, I'm 33 now, so far in my life I've never really knew what I wanted. I wanted to be a dad. I grew up wanting to be a dad, and that was it. I know this is getting way off subject from the review, but this is all part of this show. This is what this show, why we love this show so much. It's because it really digs into the dreams. It digs into what is your desire, what is your goal for this world. Glory for them, but for us, it's the Myriasphere, and I hope to become something big. Not for me. I don't want to become super famous or rich. I've never cared about that stuff in my life. I'd be happy with just a big enough house for my family where we can live comfortably. My wife's being a nurse. Eventually she wants to be a doctor. I support her and her dream. My kids want to grow up. It's all I want. It's just to live in a nice neighborhood. Not a nice neighborhood, but just on the country would be better. Nice house, big fence, stable job with my wife working, doing YouTube. That's why I want to do this, and I want to do the Myriasphere and my books. And that's what I want to do, is write my books, help with the comics, do YouTube, and let my brother run the cafe. I would show up every once in a while because I won't live in Kansas City. He does, but I don't. And we just both get together and we both work. And as it grows, help bring in, especially kids who don't know what they're, off the streets. I've seen what happens in youth centers in Chicago. I've helped work in those as young teen. I help, play basketball with kids who probably would be dead if they didn't have a place to get off the streets, out of the gang areas, out of the drug-infested neighborhoods, and just spend time with them, get to know them. I did volunteer work up in a place in Pennsylvania. I'm not gonna say the name, but it was a youth center that pretty much helped kids learn. It took them on trips, and these are all kids who had single moms. I feel for those kids because I've seen where their dads come home and just beat their wife. I literally was picking up a kid in the van with the owners, and dad came out with a bottle of alcohol in his hand. Kid was coming, smiling, his wife was waving, and then he turned around and slugged the wife in the face, told her to shut up and get in the house. I'm just like, oh. It hurts because that kid is just suffering through that shit. But that's the world we live in. Sometimes things are shitty. We're not all born into perfect families. I've never been rich. My father and mother were never rich. They scrape by. And that's the world we live in. Yeah, do we wish it was a perfect world where everybody was kumbaya? Yeah, it would be nice, but it's never going to happen. So, anyways, before we get up more off topic, I know I do that a lot in my videos. I kind of ramble. I would give this a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Or a 10 out of 10. I think this show, if you haven't seen this show and you're looking for something to really watch, I suggest it. Thank you all for coming. Stay safe, stay healthy, be good to each other. Hail Confiscate. Hail the Fandom Menace. Hail all of you. Thank you for all subbing. And I hope to see you out there. Peace out.